SpongeBob SquarePants Mysteries Stage Fright. Chapter 11. My new partner had done a swell job. Asked just the right questions. Steered the conversation where it needed to go. Bet the truth when it needed a little bending. Smiled at the right places. I was feeling good about our investigation. Sure, she seemed a little hung up on gathering hard evidence instead of trusting my shrewd instinct and keen intuition, but we made a good team. SquarePants and Cheeks detectives. I could see it stenciled on the frosted glass of a door in an old office building downtown. Some joint where the rent was cheap. At the next rehearsal, Martin Dorado paced the stage in front of the assembled cast members. SpongeBob and Sandy, in their guises as head cleaner and head electrician, watched from the wings, alert for any signs of sabotage. I appreciate all the hard work you people have put into this musical. The show is really coming together, Dorado said. I believe we're going to have a massive hit on our hands that'll run for years and years. The actors exchanged smiles. Used to searching for work, they were excited about the possibility of employment that could last more than a week or two, not to mention being part of a hit. Maybe they were finally on the road to stardom, fame, and happiness, or at least a steady paycheck. But we're not there yet, the director warned. Most importantly, I'm still searching for a great ending. I haven't found it yet, but I'm thinking it just might possibly be in our Fair Maiden and the Monster number. So let's get back to work on that one. Angela, are you ready? A beautiful dark-haired young angelfish smiled and nodded. Uh-huh, I'm ready, Mr. Dorado. She portrayed the Fair Maiden in the number. First, Dorado had the chorus sing through the song to make sure they had all the notes and lyrics down cold, and he began positioning them around the stage. In the number, the chorus members, led by a big heroic fish, had arrived at the monster's lair to save the Fair Maiden from the monster's evil clutches. It was an exciting scene, building to a climax in which the golden-haired hero seemed to have succeeded in rescuing the Fair Maiden, only to be attacked by the monster. A huge dance fight ensued. Wow! SpongeBob whispered to Sandy. I love this song! And the scene is sensational! Yep, Sandy agreed. That dance is livelier than a hootenanny in a hurricane. Caught up in the music, SpongeBob unconsciously started doing the same dance steps he'd done at his audition, hopping on one foot and then the other, swinging his elbows and flashing his fingers open wide. Sandy cleared her throat. Ahem! SpongeBob, no dancing! You're head cleaner, remember? And secretly a private eye. Head cleaners and private eyes don't do silly dances. But I do, SpongeBob thought to himself. The big sea monster was especially impressive. Martin Dorado had spared no expense having a large, intimidating beast built with convincing eyes, teeth, and claws. Controlled by a crew member standing in the wings with a remote control, it could stomp its feet, wave its arms, grab with its claws, flash its eyes, gnash its fangs, and unleash a terrifying roar. Wielding a long gleaming sword, the hero boldly strode right up to the monster and sang in a beautiful baritone voice. You horrible, terrible, and awful beast, yon lovely maid must be released. At this point, the hero was supposed to plunge his sword into a slot in the mechanical beast. The monster would rear back, roar, and collapse on the stage. Angela would daintily step away from the monster. Everyone would sing. The power of song would break the spell and transform the monster into a fish. The maiden would run into the arms of the fish, and they'd kiss. And Patrick, playing one of the villagers in the crowd, would step forward and say his line about the power of music. But at this rehearsal, it didn't go that way. When the hero tried to stab the beast, the monster grabbed the blade with one clawed hand and backhanded the baritone away with his other. Whap! Yeah! The hero screamed as he flew through the air and landed hard on the stage. Thud! His black wig flew off his head and across the stage. In the audience, Sharpie muttered, That's not my fight choreography. Maybe the monster's improvising, Dorado mused, frowning. He turned and shouted across the room, Emma! Right here, sir. Oh, the director said, surprised to see her standing next to him. You make an excellent spy. Has anyone ever told you that? Never mind. Go see what that puppeteer is up to. Emma looked baffled and a little frightened of the director's reaction when he found out she was baffled. Puppeteer? You know, the guy with the remote control? Dorado hissed. The crew member! Whichever idiot is messing up Sharpie's fight choreography! Go! Yes, sir! Emma stammered, getting up and hurrying down the aisle to try to find the operator of the remote control backstage. Unfortunately, the monster wasn't done yet. He grabbed Angela Angelfish and started tossing her in the air, throwing her higher and closer to the hot lights with every toss. Help! Angela shrieked. The other cast members stood frozen, uncertain what to do. Is this the new ending? One of them whispered to a fellow actor who just shrugged, having no idea. Oh. But SpongeBob was on the move, running toward the mechanical monster. Help me! Ah! Angela screamed as the beast tossed her up again, sending her perilously close to the hot lights. But this time when she came down, the monster didn't catch her. She bounced off the creature's body and sailed through the air, heading toward the orchestra pit, until SpongeBob caught her. The force of her descent knocked them both to the floor, but his spongy body broke her fall. Holding on to her, he kept her from tumbling into the orchestra pit. The monster slogged off stage, whacking cast members with his arms as he went. Though it certainly wasn't the blocking they had rehearsed, Pearl blurted out her line. The monster has become the maiden's one true fish! That was Patrick's cue. Patrick stepped forward and loudly declared, Looks like we've all been paid by a sour old doofus! He smiled, proud of himself, until Pearl showed him his actual line in the script. Patrick took the script and wandered off, studying his line, repeating it over and over. Looks like we've all been saved by the power of music. Looks like we've all been saved by the... Are you alright? SpongeBob asked Angela as he helped her to her feet. She stood there for a moment, trembling. I think so, she said. Just shook up. What happened? Why did the puppet do that? That's what I'd like to know, Martin Dorado demanded. As he headed down the aisle toward the stage. Emma! Have you found that puppeteer? Emma led a crew member with a remote control onto the stage. Yes, Mr. Dorado, here he is. He says he doesn't know what happened. The crew member, whose name was Chuck, held up the remote control. Either someone's been messing with this controller, or they messed with the wiring inside the dummy. When I tried to make the thing slump over, it moved its arms instead. Then, when I tried to make it put its arms down at its sides, it grabbed that actress and threw her up in the air. It just kept flailing its arms around as it exited stage left. A director had reached the stage. Yes, we know what it did. The question is, why? Chuck shrugged. I told you, somebody must have messed with the controls, crossed the wires, reset the electronics, switched the doohickey with the thingamabob. Sandy had followed SpongeBob onto the stage when he ran in to catch Angela. She spoke up. Who has access to the remote control and the puppet? Chuck turned towards Sandy and peered at her. Who are you? He asked defensively. Security? Head electrician, Sandy answered. Head electrician? You mean like making sure the lights work? What's this got to do with you? Chuck challenged. Sandy pointed at the remote control. Doesn't that thing, she pointed at the fake beast, and that thing work on electricity? Chuck shook his head. Nope, batteries. Rechargeable batteries? Sandy asked, taking a step closer to Chuck. Well, yes. Okay, well last time I checked, you recharge batteries with electricity. The director stepped in between Sandy and Chuck. Just answer her question about who had access, he ordered. I'd like to know the answer. Chuck shrugged again. Pretty much anyone could have gotten at the remote control. We don't lock it up. Well, maybe we should, Dorado barked. Yes, sir. Chuck said, not wanting to lose his job. From now on, we will. I'll get right on it. He turned to go, wanting this whole conversation over with, but Sandy stopped him before he left. And where do you keep the monster puppet when it's not being used? Sandy pressed. Chuck jerked his thumb toward a far corner of the backstage area. Back in that corner. It's too big to fit in the storage closet. Sandy headed toward the backstage corner he'd pointed at to investigate. SpongeBob addressed all the cast and crew assembled on stage. Did any of you see someone tampering with the remote control or the pretend beast? No one said anything. Several people shook their heads. Are you security? Chuck asked. Head cleaner, SpongeBob explained. Then what have you got to do with this? Chuck asked. SpongeBob thought fast. Tampering. That's messing with. Where there's messing, there's a mess. And when there's a mess, you'll find me. Martin Dorado decided to regain control of the proceedings. Alright, even before that disaster, the number didn't look strong enough to end the show with. Let's get right back to work. Places, everyone. Top of the song. We'll run it without the monster this time. He turned to his fair maiden. And without you, Angela, take a break and make sure you're okay. Thank you, Mr. Dorado, Angela said. Mr. Dorado, is this number going to be the final of the show? I'm still thinking about that, Dorado told her. Do you think that the story will change at all? Like, what happens to the monster? The director shook his head. It's the only song on the show that's exactly the way I want it. It's just a matter of the best place to put it. Now get some rest. He walked back to the other cast members. The baritone playing the hero, whose name in real life was Greg, raised a hand. Doesn't anyone want to know if I'm alright? I mean, that thing did throw me across the stage. Dorado looked at him. Are you alright? I guess so. Good. Go to your place for the top of the number. Greg picked up his black wig and put it back on his head as he walked to a starting position, grumbling to himself about how he wasn't appreciated in the show. No one ever appreciates me in the show. SpongeBob took Angela aside. Do you need anything? A glass of water or kelp juice? She shook her head. No, thanks for catching me and stopping me from falling into the orchestra pit. I really appreciate that. Do you think I could ask you a couple of questions? He asked. Privately? Angela looked puzzled but agreed. Sure. Sandy emerged from the dark corner of the backstage where the monster had been stored. She held up an envelope. Before you all go back to rehearsing, she announced, you might want to read this. What is it? Dorado said, taking the envelope from her and pulling out a sheet of paper. I found it taped to a little door in the wall back by where the puppet was stored, she explained. It's addressed to you. Cancel the show, the director read. Or else. He looked up from the note, frowning with concern and anger. Who's it from? Patrick asked. Stay tuned for Chapter 12 coming up soon.